You betcha! I'm George, and today we're going to be going over 10 tips and tricks for breachers. This is currently an alpha, but everything here is most likely still going to apply when the game comes out, because most of the key features are still here. When you select weapons, you can buy stuff by using your finger. No buttons pressed, just push into it, come out, and that's how you select stuff. It's pretty simple. There'll be barriers to all the external entries to the building, and you can punch it like that to open it. Or you can come over here, and what we're going to do now is we're going to grapple. So you just put your hand up, pull the trigger, and point towards the top. You can get it with either hand, and then you start grappling. It's a little tricky going up and down, but I think they're going to fix that. And then if you push in your thumbstick, you can actually do this cool Rainbow Six entry. So those are the basics. Now let's jump into each of the individual tips. The first tip we have for you is the Stims. If you join a breacher server, the one thing that'll be bought the quickest will be the Stims. If you look, you can actually only have 2 per team, so they are pretty hard to come by. And the cool thing is you activate them, you can stab yourself, usually in the arm or the chest I'll do, and it will regen all the way back to full health. They'll give a quick boost and then slowly regen to full health. And the top of that, they can be used 3 times. Which is awesome. You can heal your teammates. And then on top of that, one of the biggest things I try to do is I usually pick up other people's stims. So if you kill a couple enemies, you can pick up their stims and put them on you like this. And then you keep them into next round. If you have them in your hands, you don't necessarily keep them. So you can have more than 2 if you steal enemies. Take this guy's stim. Now I have 2 stims. Now you can see I picked up somebody's stim and now I have 2 stims. So I would recommend giving one to your teammates. Since you can use each one 3 times, it's better off sharing them between your team. Alright, tip number 2 is to move slowly and crouch when you move, because you make a lot less noise. You can actually push in the thumbstick to manually crouch if you don't want to do it in real life. But you make so much more noise. You can hear people drop, that's really loud. When they're running, you can easily hear them running throughout walls. If you crouch, you can't really hear them. So you want to be very careful to not make too much noise when you are on both sides, honestly, because it's a dead giveaway. And then with this next one, we're going to be talking about breaching foam. So breaching foam is tip number 3, and it is so powerful. You can breach breakable walls like this. It takes a lot less foam. You push this button and don't throw it away. I did that right away with Stims too, because you can use it 3 times is my understanding. We can try to test that here to see the max. So I'm gonna crouch so I'm a lot more quiet. Move up on him. Sound like you went on the left here. So I'm going to go back and breach that now. Hopefully he didn't just loop around. So dropping down is going to be really loud, so I don't want to just drop down if I don't think it's possibly clear. There, here's my 3rd one. Test it to see if it's got more uses, and looks like it's not working anymore, so that must have been the last use unless it's still recharging. Next, we have the Cloaking Device. The Cloaking Device is very powerful because it makes the user invisible. It's this little weird radio device, and the slower you move, the more invisible you are, so it's hard to see you. For the most part, it seems like people are about the same visibleness for when I see people. They are pretty easy to see. It's more like you just see outlines, but you can see through them. So it does help. It does take like longer for the enemy to recognize you, which I really like. This goes very well with your slow movement. And With this tip, I'd like to warn about feet underneath doors. This is my next tip. I'll show you like this. They can see that so easily. You can see people sticking their arms through doors, stuff like that, so be very careful. I'll see if I can get some good examples of that too. Show you. Yeah, there's a guy waiting right there for me. Here's a good example of being careful through walls. See, here's a good example of someone's feet under the door. Okay, this guy is shooting at me through, lasers on me through the door, so either it's a hacker or it's a bot. Looks like it was a bot. But that is the power of the headshot. Especially with this revolver. It is extra powerful. Alright, here's a great example of motion sensors. So, I'm putting it right by this breakable wall so that if they come in, I'll shoot this breakable wall and kill them. There's one wallbang. Wallbangs are genuinely hard to get. But proximity sensors can help you quite a bit. So let's talk a little bit about guns on this game. Both sides, defending and attacking, get the exact same suite of guns. SMGs, rifles, shotguns. Now, the first round is only pistols. And there's so many different guns. Excuse me, buddy. The Jesper runs out of ammo so quickly, so I don't recommend that one. The Spectral is better because it has a lot more ammo. And then the Cyclone is actually automatic, so that's pretty cool as well. The Taurus is a one-shot to the head, so that is extremely powerful, but it's 3 in the body if you aren't able to hit that headshot. The Omen is pretty good. It's a cheaper gun, so that means you can still get some other stuff, which is really nice. I definitely recommend extended mags on every gun you can get it on, because it adds more ammo to your mag well and to your overall ammo, so that is extremely powerful. Watch lasers, because they can give you away. You can use your other hand to turn off or on with the trigger. And then the Viper is also a good SMG. It is a little more expensive though. I would say it's a little bit better than the Omen, but not. I don't know if it's necessarily worth the price increase. Is the main thing. Now we finally have the rest of the guns. My favorite SMG is by far this RCP. It is so powerful and it's a lot of ammo. It has this revolver type area, but by far favorite SMG, just so you know. Cadillo, however you pronounce it, is basically a SCAR, but it's also single fire, so you have to be very careful. I believe it's a one-shot headshot, but it fires quite slowly, so you have to be careful with that one. Oril, I don't know how to pronounce these, but this one's actually really good. This one does quite a bit of damage, and it fires pretty fast. It looks like the AA shotgun, that automatic one, to be honest, but it's really good. I'd recommend this one. My favorite of all is definitely the Vezin, just because it's kind of your normal AR platform. Pretty accurate, and yeah, overall, just this is the best one, in my opinion. Then you have the Mori. So I don't use this one often. We'll try using this one time. It's kind of like, I don't know if, it looks like a Halo gun, to be honest. Well, this one's pretty good too. Let's see how the recoil. I'd say the recoil is pretty similar. It's up to you if you want to use a more AR looking gun or if you want to use this Halo looking gun, but to be honest, they're both pretty good. And lastly, we have the shotguns. This one is semi-auto. There's about like a couple second in between each shot, so it's pretty slow firing. I've done really good where I've aced the team with this, one shot each before, but then most of the time I'm right up in their face and it still doesn't kill them, so it's very hit or miss. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. If you want a shotgun, go with this one. It fires a little bit faster, and it seems like it does more damage. It's really hard to tell though. So overall, these are the 4 holy grail of defending. And I would recommend, especially when you are on 6 or 12, buy everything, because the game's over, you're going to switch. So you can place something and just keep buying. Door blockers are great because they let you go through them, see? But enemies can't. That makes them extremely useful. Tripwires do a lot of damage when enemies try to go through them. And a good place to put them is like right next to windows like this, because then it's difficult for them to destroy it. They can still stick their arm in and destroy it, but it makes it more difficult. And lastly, we have the static emitters, which are, I would equate them to basically barbed wire and Rainbow Six, because they do damage when you go over. You can shoot them to destroy them, but they are actually, they definitely impede the enemy's progress, so they are very useful. Can be planted already, holy crap. There, I got the last guy. And I just gotta defuse this. So all you have to do is turn it until the signals match up, then you have it defused. And you feel awesome for clutching it. Same way for planting, you just hold it to place it. You can actually place it on doorways, which makes it a lot easier. So it's very important to play the EMP, because the EMP is what can win or lose the game. If you plant it, guard it. If it's planted, make sure you get to it and cover the person to fuse it. So we have the EMP right here. So this is what I'm going to do, is I'm going to play the EMP. Because they have to get it or kill me. They have to plant the EMP or kill me to win. And right now, I have the EMP on me, so they have to come to me. It's a 1v2, so let's see how this one plays out. There is a slight delay in reloading, so be careful of that, but I usually like to just get a quick reload if I...
Cannot win with him. Cannot coach with him. Can't do it.
Okay, I am to my last and final tip, but keep in mind, this is the most important tip of all, which is teamwork. It's very important to work with your teammates in order to win, and coordination is key. Constantly working together to ping and plant the EMP/defuse it is king.
Alright, we're trying to use the foam right here.
Guys, I'm gonna blow this door and then I'm gonna plant
right
once we move in.
Alright, do it. I'm ready. I'm looking.
Watch out, sounds like someone's coming this way.
More of it.
Blow it. Blow it up.
All of it. We're gonna use all it. Alright, bro.
Got one?
Blow it! Yes!
Oh, what the fuck? Down.
Oh, nice.
Let's go!
As a ghost, just some tips and tricks is that left trigger is down, right trigger is up. You can't see any enemies unless other players see them. So that's stuff like blowing up walls and whatnot. You can't see them unless an active player on your team is seeing them. So you can't really tell exactly where everything's at. You can still ping by using the top ping button. And then you can see everybody once they're all dead. You can also fly through any hatches, like any walls that aren't blown or any floor hatches, so that's useful as well.
Remember, switching to your pistol is always faster than reloading. There's
a good example of switching to your secondary when you run out with your primary. Just knowing the buildings helps so much. There's only one map since it's an alpha right now, but knowing the area helps so much. They don't currently have a map of the game to see where you're at, so it will take some time to kind of figure that out. But until you do, just learning the spots, maybe defending one way, trying to figure out what both sides are until you can memorize it. Thanks for watching my tips and tricks on breachers. Keep in mind this is the alpha, so there will be changes going forward in the future, but most of these base gameplay things will remain very similar. And if you learned anything, please consider subscribing, because it's the best way you can support me. And until next time, I've been George. Peace out.